Hello everyone. So as we have seen that from this year they have changed their pattern and they have removed the whole legal section and included in the logical section. So now logical section will consist of 70 marks, right? And in which they will be asking you the legal question. So now we know that we are already having the question paper, the master question paper and the key. So now let's have a discussion what type of questions they have asked, whether they have covered the legal part or not, or what we have covered in our class they have asked from that or not. So moving forward, so basically they have asked about from the static legal GK part. First of all they have asked questions from that, and yes, they have asked some legal aptitude questions and some principle and facts based question, right? Okay, so they have asked 3 questions from the legal GK. So let's have a quick review what kind of questions they have asked. So the first question was related to the first woman judge of the Supreme Court of the United States. So the first answer is A, and then we have seen that the Supreme Court of India declared the act providing 10.5% internal reservations to the Venyar community in Tamil Nadu or to the unconstitutional because. So this was in the news, and in the legal GK class we have already discussed this. So of course D will be the correct answer. Why? Because it was violating, it was going against Article 14, 15 and 16 of the Constitution of India. It was basically violating our fundamental rights of equality, non-discrimination and equal opportunity. So that's the reason D will be the correct answer. So now question number 76. So again this we have discussed a lot in class. So National Commission of the Backward Classes, right? So first of all 101 is related to what? GST, right? GST. 102 is related to National Commission for Backward Classes. So National Commission for Backward Classes earlier was again the statutory right, but now basically they have made it a constitutional right by doing an amendment in the Constitution of India. So 102nd amendment. So 103rd amendment, it's related to what? EWS, and 104th is related to what? It was related to reservation for ST/SC in the Lok Sabha, and in which they have removed the Anglo-Indians. So as I have recommended everyone to remember the important constitutional amendment, so hence there was question from this part. Apart from that, they have given 2 clauses, subclause 1 and subclause 2. So subclause 1 says that neither party shall be liable for the failure to comply with its obligation under this contract if such failure is due to any kind of natural disaster or human event beyond its control. So this is first of all is act of God, right? So now second clause is saying that the successful invocation of this clause by either party shall protect the party from liability for non-fulfillment of his obligation. So if the situation is like act of God, contract has been frustrated, either of the parties will not be held liable. So now this was actually your principle. So now what is the fact? So the contract requires X to deliver goods from his house to Y house. So X will be delivering goods to Y, latest Y, 30th May. Now both X and Y, they are living in the same city. On the morning of 30th May, so there is now a big earthquake. On 30th May only they are supposed to deliver the goods. And because of that earthquake, all roads are blocked in the area. So the blockage remains present till 30th 1st May. So now of course it is impossible to deliver the goods. So now accordingly, so can X claim that his situation falls under subclause 1? Subclause 1 is talking about act of God. Yes, this is a natural disaster. This is an event which is beyond human control, that is big earthquake, right? So now we can see that option A and option B will be the correct answer, which is talking about yes, because earthquake is a natural disaster which was beyond X control, and on 30th May he will not be able to deliver the goods due to the earthquake. So D will be the correct answer. Now moving forward, question number 105. So now we have already discussed such kind of question in our class when we were discussing about the jurisdiction. So in a dispute between X and Y, Y can sue X. So if now there is a dispute between X and Y can sue X where? So now they have given 2 options. फर्स्ट इज इन अ सिटी ऑफ एक्स रेसिडेंट, सो जहां पर एक्स रिसाइड करता है वहां पर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वाई कैन सू एक्स. सेकेंड क्या दिया इन्होंने, इन द सिटी वेयर वाई डिस्प्यूट अरोज, सो जहां पर डिस्प्यूट अराइज हुआ है वहां पर. नाउ विल सी. So first of all they have entered into a contract and the goods were supposed to deliver by 30th में. X कहाँ है? He is in Delhi and Y lives in Calcutta, right? Calcutta. So X fails to deliver, मतलब deliver नहीं किया. So now there is a breach of contract due to the earthquake. So now Y still wants to file a case against X, right? So now where he can file? So यहाँ पे already the option has been provided, means Delhi or कैलकटा, कहीं पे भी केस फाइल कर सकता है क्योंकि डिस्प्यूट कहां हुआ, कैलकटा में, क्योंकि गुड्स कहां डिलीवर करना था, कैलकटा में, राइट. सो इन आइदर वन ऑफ द दिल्ली और कैलकटा, अज्यूमिंग दैट द डिस्प्यूट अरोज इन कैलकटा. सो बेसिकली हियर योर डी विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर, सी विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर, सॉरी, सी विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर. नाउ क्वेश्चन नंबर 106. सो अगेन सेम कॉन्सेप्ट. In a dispute between X and Y, now Y want to sue X, so they have given three principles. So first is कहाँ पे केस फाइल कर सकते हो? In a city of Y's resident, in the city of X resident, in the city where dispute arose. So अब यहाँ पर जहाँ पर X रहता है, Y रहता है, and जहाँ पर dispute arose हुआ है, so they have given three type of jurisdiction, right? So Y lives in Calcutta, and he is the owner of restaurant in Y's Humilious restaurant. So Y lives in Calcutta and is the owner of the restaurant Y's Humilious restaurant located in Calcutta. So now X lives in Delhi. So X lives in Delhi, Y lives in Calcutta and start a restaurant named Humilious restaurant in Delhi only. So now X wants to sue X for infringement of the name of basically Humilious restaurant. So now कहां पर केस फाइल कर सकता है Y X के अगेंस्ट? इन दिल्ली, इन कैलकटा, और कहां पर? So now Y lives in Calcutta, X lives in Delhi and there is a again dispute in Calcutta. So या तो basically should have written Delhi or Calcutta. Let's wait for their clarification. So in again C will be the correct answer in either one of the Delhi or Calcutta regardless of where the dispute arose. So C will be the correct answer. So moving forward, question number 107. All contracts are only agreements enforceable by law or contract. So basically all agreements are not contract. सारे agreements contract नहीं होते हैं, पर सारे contract agreements होते हैं, right? So now Y is a government official tasked with issuing driving licenses to applicants who meet the criteria. So you will be getting driving license only when you will meet the respective criteria. So here X has applied for driving license but does not meet the criteria. It means he is not eligible. So now X and Y entered into oral agreement that X will be paying 5,000 to issue a driving license to X. So of course this agreement is not enforceable by law. So again the correct answer will be X is wrong because an agreement not enforceable by law is not a contract. Now moving forward, 108. So now anyone who pleads on behalf of another in a court is a pleader. All lawyers are pleaders. So now the conclusion is X is a lawyer, pleads his own case in court. So now we can easily conclude that as long as he is a lawyer, X is a pleader in all courts. So here again, what will be the correct answer? C will be the correct answer. Moving forward, 109. So now all offences are punishable. Not everything that is punishable is an offence. So only that which is a punishable, it's only an offence, right? So now here we can see that there is something missing in the question. We are not sure this is a punishable offence or not. So X is a school student, does not submit her homework on time and is punished by being giving extra homework. So obviously we don't have sufficient information to decide here he has committed an offence or not. So again C will be the correct answer. Now 110. Only registered trademarks can be infringed, right? Only registered trademarks can be infringed. We have also discussed the concept of trademarks in our class. Registered trademark, unregistered trademark. In case of unregistered trademark, you are having your rights under law of torts for passing off, and for registered trademark you will be having a right under Trademark Act, right? So copying a registered trademark is sufficient to constitute infringement. So just a copying of a registered trademark. So what we have to look into is registration. So now X owns a trademark, Humelicious Restaurant, Y copies his trademark. X sues Y for infringement. So now here we can conclude that if X trademark was registered, so यहाँ पर if लगाया है, जरूरी नहीं है if it's written if, so Y has necessarily infringed X trademark, correct? Okay, so now moving forward, 111, again limitation law we have discussed again while discussing with the contract law, dealing with the exception to consideration, time bar, dead. We have discussed limitation principles, right? So now what does this talking about? A suit for recovery of money can be filed only 3 years. So limitation period is what? So see, whenever there is a breach of contract, whenever you want to file a case, there is a respective time period. You cannot file as per your wishes कि जब मन किया तब case file कर ले, right? So they have allotted a time period for a particular case. So now यहाँ पर for a recovery of money, time period क्या है? Basically 3 years. So within 3 years you're supposed to file a case. From the date of the money becomes due to be recovered. Suits filed after this period of course will not be maintainable. So suits filed within this period are necessarily maintainable. So within 3 years you're supposed to file a suit, otherwise after that it will not be maintainable. So money become due from Y to X on March 17, 2007. So X filed suit of recovery. अब यहाँ पर 2017 में ड्यू है, we can see case has been filed 2022 में. So now you can calculate 2017 to 2018, 18 to 19 and 19 to 20. So of course ये beyond that period हो गया. So within 3 years you are supposed to file a case. So of course X suit is not maintainable. Your A will be the correct answer. Moving forward, 108. So now also while dealing with legal GK in our class, we have discussed this law, Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2020, correct? It seeks to authorize the taking of measurements such as finger impressions of convicts and other persons for the purposes of identifications and investigations in criminal matters. So now they are talking not principle, it's person 1 and person 2. So यहाँ पर उन्होंने statement दे दिया, law बोल दिया कि भाई ये law क्या है. Now principle 1 and principle 2. Principle 1, the bill should not become a law because it allows for collection of measurements without any provisions for data protection. अब person 1 क्या कह रहा है कि इसको law नहीं बनना चाहिए क्योंकि इन्होंने कोई भी data protection के बारे में बात नहीं किया. Person 2 क्या कह रहा है? Again I disagree. Data protection measures can be developed. ठीक है भाई, letter stage पे develop किया जा सकता है, but the bill will help in law enforcement agencies to utilize the latest technology to identify criminals. So person 2 1 से disagree कर रहा है, but still talking about data protection. Now, so what do you think? What will be the correct answer? So person 1 and person 2 agrees that bill should not become a law. ऐसा नहीं है, ठीक है? Person 1 मना कर रहा है, but person 2 is not disagreeing with that. Person 1 and person 2 agrees that data protection is a valid concern with respect to the will. Yes, of course they are talking about that. So B will be the correct answer. 125. The freedom of speech is not absolute. Freedom, Article 19. Correct? Article 19. Freedom of speech and expression and other freedoms which has been provided by Indian Constitution. So freedom of speech is not absolute. Certain categories of speech such as hate speech, sedition, defamation, etc. are not protected by the Constitution. So one thing you have to look here is they have mentioned etc. here. So there are other things also which has not been protected by the Constitution. So based on this, what is the conclusion they have followed? First one is obscene speech is protected by the Constitution. We cannot conclude that because it's written etc. here. Defamation is a criminal offence. Again, we cannot conclude that. So here, neither A, 1 and 2 follows. Okay. Now question number 146. So what they are talking about? An advocate is bound to accept any briefs in a court or tribunals or before any other authorities in or before which he proposes to practice at a fee consistent with his standing at a bar and the nature of the case. So accordingly is bound to accept. क्या लिखा है? Bound to accept. So now principle हो गया. Facts क्या है? You are an advocate, so you are practicing in Supreme Court of India and you are specializing in criminal law. So now you are approached by a Pakistani national, so now who has been convicted of a serious terrorism and murder charges by the Delhi High Court. Now what he is requesting from you to represent him before the Supreme Court. He is willing to pay you fees as you will be quoting. However, you have a serious moral obligation to taking up this case since it concerns the security of the country. So now you are having a serious moral objection. So now, does this principle talking about anything related to moral objection? I don't think so, right? So choose the most appropriate answer. So now you can refuse to represent the terrorist on account of your strong moral objection. But यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? You are bound जब तक तुम्हें fees मिल रहा है. So B, you can refuse to represent the terrorist on account of your strong moral objection. Again, no. C, you are under an obligation to accept the case because the principle makes no exception for advocates having moral objection. So here C will be the correct answer. 147. So now what they are talking about, let's see. No person accused of an offence involving commercial quantity of narcotic drugs shall be released on bail or on his own bond unless the court is satisfied that there are reasonable grounds for believing that he is not guilty of such offence and he is not likely to commit any offence while on bail. So there is one thing that is, first of all, is bail, and the another concept is anticipatory bail. So first of all, you're supposed to know the difference between both. So what is anticipatory bail? So this is an apprehension that you will be arrested. You have not been arrested here, right? So arrest होने से पहले ही you are approaching a court for the bail. So again यहाँ पर क्या है कि basically court क्या करेगा, जब तक satisfy नहीं करता है कि reasonable ground है believe करने का that he is not guilty of such offences and is not likely to commit any offence while on bail, court क्या करेगा, release दे देता है, ठीक है? So when you are having consuming the quantity of drugs, certain quantity of drugs. So now what are the facts? So again, the Michael is an accused of possessing commercial quantities of cocaine, which is a drug, which is an offence. But he has not been arrested by the police. Why? He has not been arrested. So obviously he moves the court, relevant court for anticipatory bail, praying that he should not be arrested for the alleged offences. The court made a good case for grant of anticipatory bail. How the court is not ready to state that there are reasonable grounds for believing that he is not guilty of such offence. So the court believes नहीं कर रहा है. So in this situation, what will be the answer? So of course, the court is not bound by the given principle, right? So what will be the answer? Court is not bound by the given principle because the principle speaks of release of a person on a bail, that implying it does not apply to the cases of anticipatory bail. ठीक है, anticipatory bail के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहे, they are talking about bail. So obviously A will be the correct answer. So again, we'll see the C option because its language is only in form of recommendation. No, it will not be the correct explanation to this. So A will be the correct answer. Moving forward, question number 148. The appeal by a candidate or his agent or by any other person with the consent of a candidate or his election agent to vote or refrain from voting for any person on ground of any religion, race, caste, community or language shall be a correct practice. So when you are appealing a candidate for the election, then you are not supposed to talk about your religion. On basis of that, you cannot ask for the vote. That will be a correct practice. So now what are the facts? Ms. Tiku, a candidate from the Krantikari party, says to her voters, vote for me because you are all Christians and your interest will be protected by me. So basically, first of all, is there any again promotion of religion? She is talking about any religion? No, right? So in this situation, Miss Tiku is not guilty of corrupt practice because she has appealed neither to her own religion nor to another candidates. Right? So basically she is talking about talking from Christians, like आप लोगों को भी वोट देना चाहिए because this will be in your interest and I will be protecting you guys also. So B will be the correct answer. Look into C. Miss Tiku is not guilty of corrupt practice because the principle only applies to male candidates. Of course, this will be eliminated, right? So again, B will be the correct answer. So now, thank you everyone. This was all about the legal questions they have asked in A-Lit question paper 2022.